So this is a tenner, and obviously it buys us £10 worth of stuff from the shops. But according to this Bank of England calculator, if I had this £10 note back in 2005, so 20 years ago, it would actually be worth about 17, £18. That's the power of inflation. In 20 years, this tenner is actually worth probably a little bit more, £5 and some change. That's all it's worth. So that's inflation for you. It's constant, it's silent, and it eats at your money every day. And that's why you either need to save or invest your money to beat this power of inflation. One option could be a savings account, say £1,000 saved in a account which gives you 3-4% interest. In today's money, it probably would be about £2,000. But historically, savings has just kept on par with inflation. It doesn't help you get ahead. It just keeps you coasting. So investing is the only way you can actually beat inflation. Historically, the stock market has returned between 7 and 10% annually. Even if you take the lower figure of 7%, £1,000 invested at 7% 20 years ago is about £3,800 in today's money. The difference between saving and investing is about £1,600. And I know some of you are saying that there's a lot of risk that comes with investing, but just keep listening and I'll tell you how to manage your risk. So what really is an investment? Investing is you own a small share of the company and you make money through two ways, through a dividend as well as the growth of the fund. So the best way to understand both the dividend and the growth is to understand if I was a landlord and I rented my property, I would get growth in two aspects. One is the rent I received or the dividends I received per month. And second part is the growth of the property over the number of years. So investment has two different sides. It gives you a dividend and second is the growth of the fund. So now you're sold on this idea of investing in shares. How do you actually buy shares? So in the olden times, you had to physically go to a stockbroker and give them your money and tell them to buy the shares. But nowadays, there's online brokers, the likes of Hargreaves Lansdown, Vanguard, Trading 212, etc. There's two big reasons why you would choose one platform over the other. The first one is the cost of using the platform and the underlying fund charges. So the cost is definitely an aspect. The second is the ease of the use, how familiar you are at using the website, how clunky the website is, etc. So these are the two biggest aspects. I've put together a cheat sheet of the top UK platform providers and their costs. If you'd like a copy of that, please comment in the comment section below. Comment PDF. So now you've decided on your platform. Now you may be thinking on what do I actually buy? I'll just give you a few examples. Let's look at another company, General Electric. I've heard that it used to be as big as Amazon and things in the 80s. So it was very famous 20, 30 years ago. Around the 2000s, the market share for General Electric was about £260 and today it's about £298. So in 25 years, General Electric shares has gone nowhere. It's gone up and down in this time, but it's really gone nowhere. But let's look at another example, Nvidia. The company started only around 2015. At that point, the shares was around 88 pence, and in today it's £185. So if you had bought £1,000 of shares in Nvidia versus General Electric, Nvidia would have made you a lot more money. And that's the thing with buying individual shares. There's an element of luck. You never know if the company is at the top and is going in reverse or if it's going all the way up. You don't know. So there's an element of luck when it comes to picking individual shares. And the best way to avoid that is to pick a group of funds called an index fund. In the index funds, there's two aspects. The fund is just a collection of shares. So the index is just a computer-generated format of a group of companies. So the S&P is the 500 biggest companies in America. The FTSE, there's a FTSE 100, 250, 300. So that is the companies in UK. In India has its own Nifty 50, etc. So if you purchase an index fund, it just follows a computer algorithm. So with an index fund, you minimize the chance of luck within picking individual shares and you minimize the risk because you diversify across multiple companies. Let's look at the S&P 500, the 500 biggest companies in the US. In the year 2000, the S&P was only about 3,200. Now it's 6,700. So if just investing in the S&P over 20-25 years, your money is easily doubled. And you minimize the risk really, because if one of these 500 companies goes bust, or even if 10 companies goes in reverse or just plods on and does nothing for 20 years, you've still got a lot of companies that is driving all the boom. So you get all the upsides of the boom and none of the downsides of just plodding on or losing money. There are other things that you can do to minimize your risk when investing, because at the end of the day, investing is risky. The first we've already discussed is to diversify as much as possible. The other thing you can do is to look at a long-term horizon, minimum of 5 years, perhaps even longer. I'll show you some charts. You can see the chart has been since the 1930s. The longest period that this has been negative is 4 years in the 1930s. Recently, it's been 3 years. So it has been shown that the average correction takes about 3 to 4 years to correct. So that is why you probably heard that the minimum period to invest in the stock market is a period period of 5 years. Another thing you've probably heard, to manage your risk is to invest in bonds to diversify. So bonds is just loaning the money to a company or a government. Bonds don't tend to go up and down so much. They're more consistent. So you can add bonds to your portfolio to further diversify and further minimize the risk of investing. But remember, you lose money only when you sell an asset at a loss. And you can understand this better in case of a property. Say I bought this house for £300,000. If the market declines and it goes to 250,000 and I sell the property for 250, only then I've lost money on this. I've lost 50k on this house. But if I can ride it out and coast it out for 3-4 years and the market recovers and I can sell it at £310,000, then I've made a profit of £10,000. So it's very important that you're able to hold an asset for the long term, and you make or lose money only when you sell an asset. Let's talk about tax wrappers. If you're in any tax-paying country, there is equivalent of these tax wrappers. In the UK, there is ISAs and there is pension, and there is something called GIAs. Tax advantage account is ISAs and pension. ISA is all the money that you put in is tax you after your wage salary is tax, you put into an ISA, but whatever growth and things comes out of it is completely tax-free. Pension is sort of the other way around. Whatever money you put into a pension goes in tax-free, but when you withdraw the other end, you pay taxes on it depending on your tax band. GIA is there's no tax savings in a GIA or a general investment account. So you usually would use a GIA once you've maxed out your pension in your ISA. So now you're really sold on investing and you're wondering when is the best time to get started. The best time is now, no matter how old or how young you are. Let me give you an example to further emphasize this point. Say I'm a 20-year-old and I cannot afford a lot because I'm only 20. I can afford to put in £100 a month, and I can afford to do this only till about 40, and perhaps after that children and things come along and the person can afford to put in no more, but they've left the money till they're 60, and at the age of 60 that the money has grown to £212,000, and this person has only put in about 24k of his own money. But say I started investing only at 40 years old, and to build this lump sum that the person A has made of £212,000, I have to put in £450 every month to get this pot of £212,000. This person B has put in a total of £108,000 to get 212, versus this person A, because he started young, he's put in only 24k. So that is so the younger you start, the better it is. And if you're in your 40s and 50s, it's better to start now than to wait till you're 60 and 70. The earlier the better. There's only 3 situations where you would hold off from investing. One is if you've got any unsecured loans, say credit card debt or not your mortgage, any other forms of debt. The second is if you're building up an emergency fund, you would stop yourself or focus more on your emergency fund than investing. Third is if you're saving up for something, maybe a house deposit or a marriage or something big that you're saving towards, you'd perhaps then prioritize your savings than in your investing. Where do you actually put your money and get started? Remember, some platforms you can actually get started with £1. Mostly it's about £25, but you can actually start with a small amount of money. I've put together a PDF which gives you all the platforms as well as the popular funds within those platforms. Again, drop a comment below as for PDF in the comments below, and I'll drop you a link to that PDF. 20 years down the line, you'll either be thinking, yes, I'm glad I started, or oh, I wish I started. And the only difference is not down to luck or anything. It's only down to taking action today. So download that PDF, get started even with £1. The amount really doesn't matter. Starting today really matters. If you have got any value from this video, please forward this to your family or your friends. I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.